With the playoffs right around the corner, it is time to trim the fat. And are we going as far as dropping players like Ohtani and Kyle Tucker? I've got those names for you and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne. As you can see if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, once again, please make sure you're subscribed. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And what's going to help you win your fantasy baseball league is joining Matt and I on the Insider's Track, where you're going to get instant prospect notifications when they get called up, going right to your phone. Nobody else in the industry is offering that. And then also when we do our waiver wire episodes, we're going to rank those guys for you, telling you how you should prioritize them when you're going to pick them up, and so much more. So if you are interested in joining us on the Insider's Track, the link's in the bio if you're listening or watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win your dream golf trip for any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. And Matt, all right, let's get into it, brother. It's really time to take that look at your roster, man, as you're heading into the playoffs, and really you might have to make some tough cuts. So we've lined up 10 names here today. Not all of them are going to be drops, just a lot of names that people are talking about, and some people that we've been asked, hey, should I drop these guys? So got 10 names lined up. Going to tell you what you should do with them. Matt, where are we going first, my brother?
All right, well, let's talk about the biggest name, and this is more applicable to, leagues that have this player as two players, and that's Shohei Ohtani. When you have the pitcher of Shohei Ohtani, you've been pretty disappointed. On the season, he has a 4.61 ERA, 35 Ks, a 1.28 whip, and a 27 through 27 innings. So, things haven't been smooth sailing. No quality starts yet or anything of the sort either. That's another little knock on him. He's only been pitching about 4 innings, 3 innings, and 2 innings since that too. So, things are inflated because, one little mistake, you give up a run and a run or two, and boom, your ERA is, astronomical, which doesn't matter. Once you start getting to 3-4 innings in and your ERA is inflated, it is going to reflect negatively of your overall ERA on the week. Like it just, unfortunately, that is the circumstance. With that, him not going into deep games, not qualifying for quality starts, and this is also in points leagues, I feel like he's kind of a liability, even though the underlying stats say otherwise. Like the expected ERA really should be a 260. The expected batting average against him is 234. His fastball velocity is through the roof at 97.9 miles an hour. The average exit velocity is being suppressed at a really great rip at 87 miles an hour. Getting guys to chase about 30% of the time, creating a whiff 33% of the time, getting the K 30% of the time, walking guys 3.5% of the time, fouling guys 2.6% of the time, and really suppressing the hard contact, only allowing it 32% of the time. I wish it would just create a little bit more ground balls. But like I said, it's not a matter of what the underlying stats are showing. It's a matter of opportunity. And one mistake can be deadly for your week. Until I see that he's going to start winding out until 5-6 innings deep, which I don't think we're going to see this year at all because they're trying to preserve him. I could totally see this where he doesn't do that. And if anything, he starts getting, less innings work. And now you also add this thigh injury that's coming in. And it's like, okay, is he really going to be valuable? How often is he really going to be pitching moving forward? Because they only really care about the bat as an organization. Is Ohtani worth rostering? In my opinion, right now, today, no. If I'm in a position where I can't hold him and I'm not sitting in first place and, I need a pitcher to be there and he's a roster clog, I'm going to drop him. It's not like I'm dropping the bat. If you have an all-in-one player, obviously you have him. You're not doing anything about it. But if he's a separate player for you, yeah, 100%, you're gonna probably drop him because I'm totally at this point okay with it until I start hearing he's going to go deeper into games, which again, I think it's least likely, and that's more of a next year kind of type play, if at all. I think this year, I think the pitching work is just going to get less.
Yeah, Matt, well said. And then once again, just to make sure, we're prefacing the right way. On Yahoo, one of it's the most used fantasy baseball platform out there. Shohei Ohtani is two players. There's a pitcher Ohtani and a hitter Ohtani. We're talking specifically about the pitcher Ohtani. I agree, Matt. If you're in a shallower league, 8-man, 10-man league, which I think most of our listeners play in, in their home leagues are probably around an 8-10-man league, and there's a better option. You make that move. You drop the pitcher Ohtani and you take that, hot pitcher going into the playoffs.
I'd do it in 12-mans.
Yeah, it gets a little tougher there. I think. Well, I'll tell you my personal prediction here is. Well, Ohtani got hurt. He took the comebacker off the leg while he was pitching. I don't think the Dodgers risk this. Why are you risking having him out there on the mound? If anything, I think the coolest thing to see with Shohei Ohtani is making the closer. Make him the closer. Then he only has to pitch an inning. He'll be fine. I think that'd be an awesome move to see. Imagine seeing Ohtani come out in the ninth. That'd be wild. I don't think the Dodgers ever do it, but it'd be really cool to see. Maybe when he gets a little bit older. But for now, I think the Dodgers might come out and even say, hey, listen, he's not going to pitch the rest of the year. We just want his bat in the lineup. At that point, he's a drop in all formats. Might be best ahead to get of it now. Especially the results haven't been great, especially since he started going more innings. Since he started pitching 3 innings, he has not really, 3 innings plus, he has not been good. I'd still probably hold in deeper leagues, right? NL only's 15-mans. I'm holding Ohtani pitcher for now in those 12-mans. If the option's out there, if there's a Jacob Lopez, a guy, a Hurston Waldrip, trying to think of guys who are waiver wire, Nolan McLean, guys like that, yeah, I'd probably do it. Anything lesser, maybe not. But yeah, it's looking real rough for the pitcher Ohtani right now. Matt, actually, you know what? I'm going to switch this because I want you to lead with that guy. So let's do this. I want to give you a guy. So I'll talk about Oneil Cruz. He's on the concussion IL right now, 7-day concussion IL, but he's not. I think he's past his eligibility already. The Pirates said that he's not ready to return. No reason to rush Oneil Cruz back for the Pirates. In keeper dynasty leagues, no, we never drop Oneil Cruz. He's too young. But in redraft, I don't know, man. It's been a tough year for a guy like Oneil Cruz. 108 games played, 207 batting average, 58 runs, 18 homers, 51 RBIs. The 34 steals are great. Love that. But that's really, the main redeeming factor here for Oneil Cruz. On the drop it like a Tato meter, in most formats, I give him like a 5. You really have to have something nice out there on the waiver wire to make that move, especially with the power speed combo. Even if he's just giving you that, it's nice. I think, like I said, future dynasty keeper leagues, I'd go out there and try and trade for him. His value is low right now. But in a redraft league, if you have to make that move in the 8-10-man league, there's a hot, guy out there on the waiver wire. I'd go out there and make that move again too, because it's just at the point where Pirates aren't going to rush him. If he misses another week or two, it's hurting you there. Playoffs are probably right around the corner in most leagues. I know most of my home leagues playoffs start 2 weeks from now. So, Oneil Cruz has to get warmed up again. He's got to get the legs going. I don't know if he's going to be hot. He's been having a bad season. So, like I said, 5 on the drop like a Tato meter. Anything more than a 10, I don't think I'd ever really drop him just because the value is not going to be there on the waiver wire. But an 8 or 10-man league at this point, yeah, I could potentially see it happen in some formats.
Yeah, I look at it like this. Cruz is still a guy that at any point in time can crush the ball and drive in some home runs. That's kind of like the key part for me. And sometimes it's worth kind of sacrificing. But the thing is, he's not even hitting it at a rip, where it's like, oh my God, okay, the batting average and the dead weight production that's hurting me is counteracting in another category. Now, yes, he's stealing bases and things like that, which fine and dandy, that's awesome, but it's really tough to play. He's definitely not an everyday player. I don't think I can drop him because I don't think I'm going to be able to let go of the stolen base capability regardless. I could deal with a guy that's, hitting low averages even if they can get the stolen bases, because getting stolen bases at this rip is pretty hard to get off the waiver wire. So I think you're pretty much stuck with him. If I could, I would, but you physically can't at this point. It's too late in the game. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about what do you call it, Mr. Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, the Chicago Cubs. Actually, hold on. We are going to talk about Kyle Tucker coming up after this. And is this hairline fracture an actual factor, or are we just dealing with now the better end of this now that it's healed? All coming up next.
And all right, guys, time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through the day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, or enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for any two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Just visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. This offer excludes the Masters Tournament, and it ends October 31st, 2025. And all right, guys, before we move on, I keep saying it, man, because you know what? I'm feeling it too. You know, we're getting close to football season. Your drafts are probably right around the corner, and you might not be as locked on as fantasy baseball as we are here, you know, at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, right? So let Matt and I do the easy work for you, right? You're going to get those instant text message notifications going right to your phone when top prospects get called up. When we do our waiver wire shows, we're going to rank those guys for you. Oh, you just look at your phone. Oh, listen, these are the guys I need to pick up. You go check your waiver wire, bang, and then it's as easy as that. Set it and forget it. Let Matt and I help you win some Locked On Fantasy Baseball championships this year. Join us on the Insider Track. The link's in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And Matt, you were about to talk about your boy, Kyle Tucker. What is going on with the man?
So Kyle Tucker, honestly, is dealing with a hairline fracture in his hand. And as of today, they said he's officially recovered. It's healed nice, but you know, how much is really affected? Look, we've seen this. You know, I'm actually surprised he even played through it. I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't do an IL stint. This is called contract year. Literally, this is what we call a contract year, where they play through injuries. This is why I like drafting guys on contract years. Now, not that it's been good. I mean, since the second half, he's been atrocious. You look at first half versus second half, and first half he was batting 280, in the second half he's batting 182. To boot, he had 17 home runs in the first half, and then has only hit one. So things have not been as pretty for Kyle Tucker since receiving this injury in the beginning of June. How do I feel about him now? Well, now that it's healed, air quotes, which I don't know how much I believe, I think we probably got about like 2 more weeks before we start getting, you know, any remnants of what Kyle Tucker really is. You know, you look at guys that have fractured their hands mid-season. I don't know. I could think back to a couple years ago when Freddie Freeman did it, when he was on that insane home run pace, and then his hand shattered. And other guys that
Matt
have done
Olson
it.
did it in Oakland like a long, long time ago.
Right. And you know, their power's zapped. Like it's usually you're on the IL for about 6 weeks, and then you know you come back and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to just get the ball rolling again. Now that it's officially air quotes healed, I would expect another 2 weeks before we get going, just in time for the playoffs. Obviously, there's nothing you could do about it. You can't drop him. Kyle Tucker's Kyle Tucker. He's still going to steal bases. You just hope that things starting getting better, as long as he's making good contact and he's, you know, now not fidgety because there's no longer like any discomfort and things like that. Then you would hope that things start getting better. Let's just hope that he didn't do enough to mess up his swing for the season. There is going to be some uncomfortable, but honestly, you kind of have to start him no matter what at this point. So Kyle Tucker is definitely not a drop because you can't afford it. And two, he's one of the best players in baseball. You're riding it out no matter what.
Yeah, man, it's a zero. It's a zero on the drop like a title meter for Kyle Tucker. You don't drop many platforms anyway. It's just not something you do. I will say this, just one thing I want to say about Kyle Tucker. He's starting to annoy me over the years, man. I just know there's a really there's a number one overall fantasy baseball player in some way in here in Kyle Tucker, and I don't know if we're ever gonna see it at this point. It's just like there's always a reason why he didn't do it this year. It's like, this year he was having trouble putting his socks on, and it's like, damn, man, he can figure that out. It's always something small that we're like, yeah, he can figure it out, and he could potentially be the best player in fantasy baseball. And it's just something every year, some little reason that he's not. And this year it's he was dealing with a fracture in his hamate bone all year. And it's like, well, not all year, but for a couple months or however long it was. And it's just like, okay, well, maybe that's not the case next year, but still love Kyle Tucker. I think he's going to be hopefully good the rest of the way. So not really too much else to talk about here. Kind of a similar situation with this next guy, an injury, going on that's, preventing them from being the best they could be. It's Zack Wheeler. And this can potentially be a bigger issue here. It's a blood clot in the shoulder. And it depends on how this goes.
He's done.
Oh, is it officially out?
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, you would know more than I am. Go ahead. Yeah, go for it. You take it from here.
So last I read, essentially what happened is that you normally don't throw for 6 weeks after getting the surgery, and then it's a rehab and things like that. So honestly, he's not expected to pitch until February. So if you're still rostering him on the hope, he's a flat out drop.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a source that I see exactly that. If that's the case, drop him. I keep him stashed on your IL till 100%. That's 100% the case. I know Matt's out there in Philly. He's got his ear to the ground a lot better than I do. But if that's the case, yeah, you need the room on your IL, make the move. You can go ahead and do that. It's a crazy situation. What I was going to say is I heard
right here.
Go ahead.
From Jesse Morris, MD, on Twitter. Zack Wheeler underwent thrombosis surgery to remove the blood clot from his right shoulder area. His structured return to play protocol after thrombosis is upper extremity DVT, deep vein thrombosis, is unclear from it. I'm going to get the whole thing right now. So this standard protocol. So I'm not sure how they will approach Wheeler's, given he's a professional athlete and the Phillies are trying to make a deep playoff run. The embedable prostrate thrombosis phase 1 to 2 weeks. So hospital observes you, usually 24 to 40 hours in there with a catheter, and then boom, then you got 2 weeks of full observation. 2, the subacute phase, 2 to 6 weeks. Continue anticoagulation often 3 to 6 months. Activity restricted. So right there, that's a red flag. And then intermediate phase, so 6 to 12 weeks. It's a follow-up, imaging confirming good flow and no reoccurring clots. So I think that personally, if there is even a concern of reoccurring clots, and any kind of blood clot is something that is detrimental to the man's health and being alive. I think that Wheeler's team is going to say, well, okay, it's nice to get a World Series, but it's really nice to make it past 40. So I think Zack Wheeler is probably going to choose to sit down. So usually, and then here's his last statement: return to play clearance 3 to 6 months. The criteria is usually a minimum of 3 months of complete imaging confirming various patencies and residual clot burden. Patient is asymptomatic, no swelling, no pain, none of that. And it's really it. I mean, I could share this post on Twitter, which I'll do now, which is going to be the day before. So just refer to my Twitter or X now, I guess is what we call it. And I will, I will have it up there.
Matt, I was going to hop in and even say this. So I was going to say on the end of, there's no official announcement, but I was going to say how serious this could be. I forget who it was. I heard people were comparing this to the Chris Bosh situation, where when Chris Bosh was about to sign that big deal with Houston after, Miami, if you guys are basketball fans, you might know what I'm talking about here. A similar issue, blood clots, and Chris Bosh never played again. Not saying that's going to be the case for Wheeler, but that's like how serious this could potentially be. If you have the room on your IL and you could afford it, yeah. But if you need the spot, as Matt just read you all of this, it's a very serious situation for Zack Wheeler. So we here at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, we wish Zack Wheeler, his family, and everybody that's involved in the situation the best. We hope it works out. But before we move on and talk about names like Jose Berrios, Austin Riley, and those names and more coming up next. And all right, Matt, I'll take this next guy here. Another injury situation. Let's talk some Austin Riley, right? A lot of all-stars here, or former all-stars here, dealing with a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff going on. Atlanta announced that Riley is has undergone season-ending core surgery. Riley is expected to be ready for spring training in February. He's been out since August 2nd. So it's pretty much a done deal. And that actually came out. We're recording at 4:33. That broke about 4:15. So, that's literally breaking news. I didn't even see that before we started recording. So I have Austin Riley in a few spots, so that stinks. But with that being said, drop him, redraft, drop him. Dynasty keepers, hold on. Riley's still fairly young. Still think he's got, a bit left in the tank there. But not really much else to say besides, redraft, get rid of him, clear that IL up spot. Matt, anything to add on Riley?
Only thing I could add is thank you for not trading to me. Thank you.
That was short and sweet. I'll keep things pushing. Let's move on to somebody who, unless they got hurt before we started recording, I don't think they did. Jose Berrios. Jose Berrios, man, just been super inconsistent, and I feel like Jose Berrios.
So surprised.
Yeah, Jose Berrios is just always super inconsistent. At this point in your fantasy baseball season, he's at Miami next time, but Miami's been sneaky good. I know Kyle Stowers, one of their best hitters, is on the IL, but they're still scrappy. That team can still scrap at you and give you some damage. In deeper leagues, AL onlys, 15s, I'd say probably hold on. Don't forget Shane Bieber's back in the rotation, on Friday. So, that leash is getting a little shorter for a lot of these guys. On the season, Berrios, it's 26 starts, 9 wins, 4 ERA, 1.29 whip, 146 innings, 121 Ks. He's been mediocre, I'd say since the beginning of July. It's just been very, very mediocre to bad at best. So for me, I'd put him at like a 6 on the drop it like a title meter. Berrios is 76% owned. We talked about some of those hot names earlier, the McLeans, now who else did I say earlier? Why can I only think of Nolan McLean? I mentioned a few other hot starting pitchers, but Hurst and Waldrop, guys like that. I'd make the ad for, I'd cut Berrios for those guys. Other than that, I'd probably hang in there just for the hottest pitchers in baseball. I'd probably add him for. Other than that, not really.
Yeah, I mean, Berrios, I'm so not surprised. This is a guy that Dom and I honestly just don't think is consistent or worth a really any kind of ownership. So for me, it is what it is. Berrios kind of just blows. So Barry blows. Is that the word that we want to use? But yeah, I'm gonna move on because I might get canceled after that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Chris Bassitt of the Toronto Blue Jays. At least there we go, because Dom moved him on me. Thank you, Dom.
My bad. I was trying to help, and then I just kept messing it up. That's on me.
It's all good. Don't let it happen again. So look, Chris Bassitt is so up and down. Like his last outing was really good. He had a 3.18 ERA against Pittsburgh with 10 Ks. Like awesome. But I mean, Dom and I could probably go out there and throw 10 strikeouts against them. I mean, the way O'Neal Cruz has been swinging the bat. Brian Hayes is even out of that lineup, and Brian Reynolds can't even find the ball. So, I mean, good job. But other than that start, I mean, it's been kind of ugly. He has a 5.23 ERA on the month, a 4.70 ERA on the last 2 weeks. And that's great, bro. Like you did something, but even a 4.18 ERA over the month. And you know what? Like it's spiraling at this point when it comes to him. Fastball sitting at 91.6 miles an hour. So he has no like powerful fastball to really lean on. The expected batting average at 259. His expected ERA is right on par with his actual ERA at a 4.11. He's suppressing hard contact, but he doesn't get guys to chase. He doesn't create the whiff, doesn't strike guys out. Yeah, he doesn't walk guys as much, but it allows him to barrel like crazy. And he creates ground balls at an average rate. So, like, I don't think that there is a path for him to just be a consistent play. At most, what I would do is in like cupcake matchups, like Pittsburgh, for instance, that is where like I'll roll him out. But he's not a guy I want to own that I think even should be owned 75% like he is on Yahoo right now. So, like, quite honestly, he is a drop and he's more of a streaming candidate than a guy that I'm holding for multiple weeks, nor do I want to count on if he doesn't have a cupcake matchup in the playoffs. So, time to cut that dead weight and find better options, or just use that slot as a streaming option over Chris Bassitt.
Yeah, man, I'll say this. If you're playing in an 8 or 10 man league and you own any
12 man league.
Yeah, I was saying if you want any of these guys we've talked about, except for the keeper dynasty relevant ones, we were talking about earlier, you're doing something wrong. Clear up those IL spots, get rid of these guys, and let's move on. Let's move on. Bassitt, I'll say this: I like him more than Berrios. In some of the deeper leagues, I might hold on just to just for the upside because he does have that K per 9 goal, and last start was okay. Maybe I'd sit him in the tougher matchups, play him against the bad teams. But let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk a little Byron Buxton. He's hurt, man. Guarantee Byron Buxton's hurt. I'd put big money on that. Or he's still. I know he just came back from injury not too long ago, so maybe that other injury is still lingering. Right. Over the last 30 days, Buxton hitting 160 over 50 at bats with 2 homers, a steal, 3 RBIs, and 5 runs. I said this, when Buxton's healthy, he's good. I just don't think he's healthy at the moment. I think that's why he's been struggling. His last 3 games, 0 for 4 games. Had a big game on August 17th, but before that was 0 for 5, 0 for 3, game before that, 1 for 5 the game before that. I know Buxton's numbers look good, 94 games, 25 homers, 18 steals, 73 runs, 61 RBIs. I'd put him on like a 4 on the drop like a title meter, because I just kind of feel like that injury news is going to come out soon. He's going back on the IL, and then you're kind of just going to be left holding that hand. If you have the open IL spot, it's nice to move him to the IL, and make that move. Once again, 8-10 man leagues, get these guys off your teams, get the hot bats in there. That's how you win fantasy baseball championships and those kinds of formats. It gets a little tougher when you're talking about a 12 man, a 15 man, the NL or AL onlys. It gets a lot tougher, and you're not dropping Buxton on those formats, I would say, just because the chance that he's not hurt, he's just struggling a little bit. That is definitely possible. I'm not, a sidekick. I'm just a fantasy baseball analyst. That's all I am. But you know what? I'm pretty good at reading trends and ebbs and flows. And Buxton, like I said, he's been healthy this year. He's having a good year. I just feel like there's going to be some injury news. Something's lingering there with them. So drop him in those shallower 8-10 man leagues. Get you a nice little hot bat in there. Other than that, I'm probably going to hold to see, if that injury news does break. Then I could throw him on the IL, make a move for free.
Yeah, I mean, look, before I comment on Buxton, I just want to say, look, we don't get sentimental this time of the year. We don't try and hold on for upside. There's not much time left. There's nothing left to hold on. I mean, the season ends unless you're in a dynasty league. So you got to cut the dead weight. I don't care. A guy's not performing, he's not performing, you cut him. Now, the only thing with Byron Buxton is I'm not going to drop him based off his play for an entire season. I need to hear the injuries down before I can just say that. Him returning from the IL, slow start, I'm okay with that. I could be patient with Buxton. He has a whole season of track record. So he's about a 0 for me until I hear the injury news. Once he's not even an IL stash, because quite honestly, are the Twins even going to be in consideration for playoffs?
They're horrible, no.
Right. So the question becomes, do they rush him back? Is there an even incentive for him to rush back? No. So that means he's pretty much done for the season. So why bother holding on to him and clogging up an IL spot? So that's the difference, right? And that is where okay, what would happen if he did hit the IL? But today, with no knowledge, and I'm going to just have the expectation that he's going to be having a slow start coming off the IL. Sure, no problem. Let's move on. Let's talk about this guy called Shane Baz, who honestly blows. Sorry, that's my key word for the day. Shane Baz has been horrendous. This has been, he had a really good April, and then, not even just everything fell to the wayside. Dude crumbled. It looks like 2020 all over again, where everybody can't leave their house. Everybody's scared to get sick. This kid's scared to throw the ball. It's just bad. Get that guy some Purell. It's just bad. Shane Baz is just, everything is flat as can be. It's not even, it's a mosquito bite. It's literally, oh, wow. Did you even hit puberty yet? No, there's nothing. Everything is flat as can be. The expected ERA against him is a 3.95. Yeah, it's better than a 5.22 ERA on the season, but whatever. The expected batting average against him is a 2.42. Yeah, his fastball is fast as hell, but I mean, if with no movement, I can track that thing, and I can't even hit a 90-mile-per-hour pitch. But if it's flat as could be, yeah, I could probably hit it. Average exit velocity is 89.2 miles an hour. He's not getting guys to chase at a great rip. He has a little over a K per inning, and that's slowing down. He's just doing whatever, and he's just not looking good whatsoever. Pitches that should be successful aren't successful. The fastball, it's a 261 batting average. The cutter, which was good at one point, has a 329 batting average. Like what are we doing here, bro? Like Shane Baz flat out drop. Don't even question it. Don't even roster him again for even a cupcake start. I don't even trust him pitching at my son's little league game.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Get rid of Shane Baz. That's a 10 out of 10 on the drop it like a Tato meter. Man, I hear the frustration with you because we were both in on Shane Baz coming into the year. We were preaching it, late round draft pick, and he looked good in April. And as you said, he's been stinking it up real bad of late.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, you were talking, I want to take a second to talk about the pitch mix. He incorporated that cutter this year, and it's been such a bad pitch. Like, get rid of it. This is the first time in his career he's throwing it. Get rid of that pitch. It's been really bad. He moved the slider down. The slider
goes to 13% of the time too. That goes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. And the slider was a good pitch for him back in the day. And I know it got hit a little bit this year, but he's only throwing it 3% of the time. If you give it a little bit more of a chance, I don't know. But I'm not going to get caught here on Shane Baz. But you know what, guys? That's going to be all for today. Sorry for leaving you on a somber note, but man, Shane Baz, I don't know what's going on. But shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And then for your second listen, go check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So, guys, until next time. See you.